Getting stronger requires understanding of both exercise and nutrition, and that is why I'm so excited that I have Rachel today on the podcast. She is both a registered dietitian and a certified personal trainer, as well as a mom of five. So she has beat me out with those five children. She specializes in helping moms gain confidence through incorporating simple, effective strength training routines into their lives. She pairs this with her nutrition expertise to help them fuel their workouts and lose fat at the same time. Rachel takes a practical step-by-step approach to help moms build a new lifestyle that helps them reach their weight loss goals in a sustainable way. No more crash diets over there. Her specialty is helping moms create consistency with the fitness goals. When she isn't podcasting or coaching her clients, Rachel can be found in the weights section of her gym, gardening, or attempting to keep her five young kids out of mischief. She's a busy mama, but she gets it done. If you are excited to hear my conversation with Rachel today, keep listening. Are you ready? Let's go. Are you finding it hard to keep up with the demands of motherhood because your energy is always low? Is your weak core holding you back from feeling strong and confident in your postpartum journey? Do you avoid looking in the mirror because you're not happy with what you see? Hey mama, welcome to the Fit Postpartum Mom podcast, where you'll learn how to reclaim your energy, strengthen your body after pregnancy, and finally say goodbye to the postpartum pooch in less time. Hi, I'm Dr. Jenna, but you can call me Jenna, and I'm a physical therapist, wife, and mom of four girls who has cracked the code on how to strengthen your core postpartum in the easiest and safest way possible. I too struggled with my postpartum fitness journey as a new mom, but now I'm stronger than ever, and I'm here to help you do the same without the stress, exhaustion, or struggle. If you're ready to fit fitness into your busy schedule while you navigate your postpartum journey and stay motivated along the way, then you're in the right place. It's all about progress, not perfection, and I'm here to help walk you through that journey to feeling strong, confident, and energized. That energy comes from within, not your coffee. Let's roll out that yoga mat, girl. It's time to do this. Mama, I know after having your baby, your postpartum belly is not what you wanted it to look like. You wanted it to go back to the way it used to be. You wanted it to feel strong again. You want to be able to move again the way that you used to move before getting pregnant. And that's completely possible. Don't let anybody tell you that your body's not going to go back, because it can. It did for me. After having four kids, I still weigh the same weight that I did in high school. I still fit in the same jean size. And you can still get your body back after having a baby. If you are ready to get your core strong, to lose the pooch, to have the energy that you used to have, and to feel confident in your body again, I'd love for you to join my program, Postpartum Ab Rehab. You can go to livecorestrong.com/program and get started with me right away. Hi, Rachel. Welcome to the Fit Postpartum Mom podcast. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me, Jenna. I'm really excited to be here.
Great. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself so everyone knows who you are.
All right. So, my name is Rachel. I'm a registered dietitian and I'm a certified personal trainer. And I'm also a mom of five. I have one girl and four boys. So, things are crazy around here sometimes.
Yes.
And yeah, and so I work from home. I am like I said, I'm a dietitian and I help moms who want to lose weight do that through strength training.
Wonderful. That's great. Well, I have so many great questions for you because, my audience are new postpartum moms, and a lot of them are looking for nutritional advice and weight loss advice. So I have so many great questions for you today. Tell me a little bit about how you got into strength training for fat loss.
I got into it actually because I was having a problem. So with weight loss. So after I had my third baby, the previous two pregnancies I had, I was able to like lose the weight through conventional methods, right? Like, oh, just, do more exercise, eat less, and that worked. And I'm also a dietitian. So like, I know how to lose weight, right? How to help people lose it. Well, after my third kid, my third pregnancy, we have a couple of adopted kids. So this was baby number 5 into our life, right? And I could, well, first I had the pregnancy. It was very difficult during COVID. And I was not coping well. We moved, it was horrible. I ate my feelings in the form of cookie dough. That was my kryptonite. Great way to cope as a dietitian. And I gained a lot of weight, twice as much as I did with the first 2 pregnancies. And after I had the baby, I just could not lose the stomach fat afterwards. And I remember I weighed myself, in the scale before delivery. And you know how they weigh you and you're like, oh, I don't want to know. But I looked anyway. So then I weighed myself again like 2 months later after delivery. And I was 20 pounds down. And I was like, I mean, okay, 20 pounds is like 10 pounds a month. That's fine. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, that kid was 8 pounds. And how much does amniotic fluid weigh? And the placenta. And you start doing this math, and then you're like, I don't actually think I really lost any fat. And then I weighed myself again, like I'd been ignoring the scale. And I weighed myself again 4 months later, and I hadn't lost any weight. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm breastfeeding, right? Like, I'm like, this is supposed to fall off if you're breastfeeding, and
Yes.
exclusively breastfeeding. So 6 months, virtually no fat loss. And I was just like, I've got to do something about this. So that was like the start of my journey. And along the way was a lot of trial and error of like, oh, maybe I need to do this. Maybe need to do this. And there was a point where this was like maybe a year and a half later where my kid was in the bathtub and I was on Pinterest and I saw this pin for this girl that did this bodybuilding competition, like a bikini competition. And I just clicked on it out of curiosity. And she was talking about all the strength training that she was doing. And I was like, wait a minute, like you look like super incredible like that by lifting weights. I thought you were supposed to be on the elliptical machine and
Yes.
doing all this cardio and all that. And so that was what started me strength training for fat loss, was that I realized that if I'm making my muscles shift these huge loads and they have to work hard for that, that makes my body prioritize the fat loss because it's not going to be able to use my muscles as a fuel source. And then there's the additional stuff of like it raises your metabolic rate and all that stuff. And I really did like a deep dive into what bodybuilders do, and I translated that to my mom life. And how can I adapt these principles while having kids, while having to do all the things and still do it in a time frame where I can get in and out of the gym in an hour and get results, So that's kind of what started. It was this terrible point in my life, like this crossroads that I was like, I have to do something, or I just need to accept that this is how it's going to be for the rest of my life. And I'm so thankful that I decided to push in and try and make a change. So that's how I got started.
That's amazing. And that's so encouraging. And, you put your mind to it and you get it done. And sometimes we just need to block off that time.
And I also utilized a gym that had a childcare because a lot of my kids were at home during that time. And I just felt like I needed to have this designated time for me. Like I didn't want to have to combine having the kids and the workouts at the same time. Also, I didn't have heavy strength training equipment at home. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I did it.
That's great. That's great. Well, let's shift gears into some nutrition. So, what kind of role does nutrition play in the results with strength training for fat loss? Like, how do you incorporate nutrition into this whole picture?
That is pivotal. I would say like the nutrition piece is like 70% of it. I mean, because you can strength train. And I've had clients tell me this. They worked with a personal trainer and, whatever, who told them, well, just, yeah, you're building muscle. You just need to eat more, eat more, eat more. And they're like over here, like, yes, I'm stronger, but I'm also bigger, and it's like, that's not what they're wanting, And so it's pivotal. And what I really focus on in my program is having these designated seasons of muscle gain and seasons of fat loss and sort of separating those. Because a lot of times I think that women feel like they just always have to be on a diet. It's like this elusive finish line. And they're like, I'm just going to have to always be dieting. Right. And so I try and take that out of the equation by focusing on like, right now we're doing a season of fat loss, but it's not going to be forever. And then we take breaks, right? Like we're like, okay, we're going to step away from this season of fat loss. We're going to up our calories and we're going to, take a break from it and do maintenance or maybe even a season of muscle gain if they want to really put on some muscle mass. That's my approach.
I love that. That makes so much sense. And I'm glad that you mentioned that. So good. So like what is the number one struggle that you think interferes with new moms who are trying to eat healthy? Like how can we help these new moms who want to lose weight, but it's hard. It's just so hard for them.
Yeah. So I think that you have to distinguish between like the early postpartum and later postpartum, especially in a breastfeeding mom. For breastfeeding moms, I think like if you just eat, that's a win because so
Mhm.
often we are not eating because we're so focused on doing everything else. And so I think creating a consistent eating schedule is important. And then eating more protein. So many women do not eat anywhere near enough protein. And I actually was reading an article about how the guidelines for protein for lactating women are even higher than what they had previously thought, and how most women that are lactating need to eat quite a bit of protein, like in excess of 115 130 grams a day for most women. And for me that seems kind of unattainable to a newly postpartum mom. And so what I would suggest is 20 grams with breakfast and then a couple of snacks in there that are 10 or 20 grams, and just make protein a priority. Like it's something that you think about when you go to eat. I think that's a lot of the struggle is we're not even thinking about it, and we need to start thinking about it. And you'll be surprised at how full you get, right? And that will also help with the fat loss. But when you're really early postpartum, I would not suggest that moms drastically try and like reduce their calorie intake or anything like that because they're trying to establish their milk supply. After that milk supply is established, you can try a gradual approach. For example, teaching something or utilizing some is a approach to looking at your plate that's kind of like you divide your plate in half, and half of that plate needs to be non-starchy veggies, and a quarter of that plate is protein, and a quarter of that plate is a carb,
Mm.
preferably something like a high fiber carb. And it's just a simple way to look at what you're eating and be approximately okay in terms of the proportions of your macronutrients. I do have a free resource on that. It's called Simple Guide for Fat Loss Without Counting Calories. It's on my website. You can go to the free resources page on there. My website is effectivefitnessforwomen.com, and it's on the free resources page. And that's a great starting point because really, like if you focus on protein and you focus on eating more vegetables, so many of us don't eat anywhere near enough vegetables. And both of those things are filling, and they're going to sort of naturally create this calorie deficit that is going to help you get the baby weight off.
Oh, I love that. That is so good. I know that we are eating enough vegetables, and I think it's fun to, incorporate it into things that maybe we're not eating just the vegetable, but we're incorporating it. Like I love to put vegetables in my smoothies, and
Yeah.
I think that's just like a fun way to incorporate those nutrients from that. So great.
Mhm.
Okay, so what's the number one thing that you help moms with to improve their nutrition? Like if you were to give them one like key takeaway tip, what would that be?
I would say it would be a toss up between eat more veggies and eat more protein.
Okay, okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're both so critical. And especially if you are trying to build muscle, I would say protein is number one. And really just prioritizing that, looking at your food labels, being like, okay, how much protein am I actually eating? Right? Most people are not eating anywhere near enough. So that would probably be number one for me.
Awesome. I love that. Most of my ladies are newly postpartum, and as a dietitian, what advice would you give them if they are not quite ready to fully revamp their eating habits and want to just have an easing starting point? So, like, just something so simple. What would you tell them?
Find yourself a protein shake. I would suggest it to be under 200 calories and just incorporate that into your day. So if you don't have time to make a meal, grab that protein shake. If you are getting hungry while you're feeding the baby, grab that protein shake. Just incorporate that into your normal day to day as a quick fuel source for you, one. And then that way you'll have that foundation in place when you are ready to go ahead and start to really change some things. You'll have that there and you'll have a good source of protein ready for you.
Oh, I love that. That's so good. I love, like I said, I love smoothies. I love the shakes, but making that like an essential part with the protein is, I think that's so easy. It's so manageable for new moms to do that and take it with you on the go or, put it back in the fridge if you need to, if you can't finish it. It's definitely something that's easily, achievable for a postpartum mom. Well, are there
Yeah.
any special considerations for newly postpartum breastfeeding moms? Because there's a lot of moms out there breastfeeding and that can be sort of scary to think about weight loss while breastfeeding. I breastfed, you breastfed, and it's essential that we keep our milk supply. So, are there any tips for breastfeeding moms who want to lose weight? What do you recommend? And not to lose the milk supply? What do they do?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would start slow. That's what I would suggest is really starting slow with the emphasis on getting enough protein. Because if you're not getting enough protein in your diet to make your milk supply, where do you think your body is getting that protein from?
Yeah.
Right? It's getting
Hmm.
it from your muscles. On top of that, you're sitting for like 8 hours a day feeding this baby. Your body's like, well, we're not using this. Great. Right. So making sure that you are getting that good supply of protein in is a great starting point. I would also add, watch your milk supply, be intentional about noticing like, okay, when I cut out, if I started, kind of decreasing my portions and stuff, how was my milk supply impacted? Like, am I still pumping the same number of ounces and all that? And so if you are, it can give you confidence to move forward slowly. Like, okay, I want to keep the weight loss coming off. How do I, now that I know, like, okay, my body can handle, me cutting down on my carby snacks, right? What about cutting down on this, a little bit, right? Of course, we still want to be eating a balanced diet, and that includes carbohydrates, but portion size wise, because breastfeeding can make you really hungry.
Yes.
And we're all like in our feelings, and I don't know if I'm the only one like this, but you're like, man, I'm hungry, I'm gonna get some ice cream, like having that, like, can we cut back on the portion control there and or cut back on the portions there and still maintain our milk supply, because milk supply is going to work for you. You want that milk supply to pull from your fat stores, right, to make the milk, right? And so just taking a gradual approach and not changing too much at once. I think that's the key.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that. I like to monitor things on calendars. Like if you're monitoring your milk supply, like just write it down on a calendar and keep track of what you're actually, getting for your milk when you're pumping. So yeah, I definitely love that idea. It's a little bit more of a tangible number, and then you don't have to worry so much about if you're doing things right or wrong or so that's so good. That's so good. Okay, so I'm just wondering, since we're talking so much about food and protein, do you have any favorite protein-rich meals?
I do, like specifically for fat loss, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I'm a big advocate of like adapting and modifying recipes. I just really like to do that. And so I like to make a French toast recipe that's geared towards fat loss. Most people are like, oh, French toast, you can't eat that. That's like a
That's
treat.
what I'm
Right?
thinking.
Yes. What I do is I will the night before, right? Because mornings are crazy. I'm getting 5 kids ready. All right. That's a lot. So the night before, I will measure out my egg beaters and a little bit of, I like to use stevia, or you can use allulose or some form of like lower sugar sweetener, and then some cinnamon, and I just mix it up in a bowl and I set it in the fridge. And then that the next morning, I just turn my pan on. We're getting 30 grams of protein and we're keeping our calories well under 300 with this breakfast, right? So it's adaptable. You can use regular bread if you have the extra calories to work with. But I use 3 slices of light bread and I just dip it in my little bowl and throw it on the pan. And then I've got French toast, and it's got 30 grams of protein and I think like 250 calories, something like that. And it's very filling because of the protein, but you're getting that like carb too.
Ah, oh, that's great. Everybody loves French toast. You can't go wrong
Yeah.
with that. So
Yeah.
good. Great. Well, if you have any other last takeaways or tips for these postpartum moms who are really just trying to lose weight, what would be one important thing that you want them to walk away with today?
I think that I would want them to know that if you can just pick one thing to work on, because we so often want to change everything all at once. But if you can just pick one thing to work on and get really, really good at it, be it having a protein shake once a day or half your plate be veggies at dinner time, just pick one thing to work on. I think that would be what I would suggest.
That's good. Yeah, there's so many different things that we could do all at once, and we end up not doing any of them well. So if you do that one thing, you can do it so
Yeah.
well, master that. And then once you have that mastered, you can move on to the next thing. 100% I agree with that. That's so great. Well, thank you, Rachel, for being here. And I definitely want the women listening today to come follow you and listen to you. So tell them where they can listen to you and how they can get some of your free resources.
My podcast is called Effective Weight Loss for Moms. And then Simple Guide for Fat Loss Without Counting Calories. That's on my website, effectivefitnessforwomen.com, the free resources page. And then I also have a beginner strength training template that you can incorporate after you work with Jenna on your core strength.
That's right.
That's the foundation, right? We have to have a strong core if we're going to strength train for weight loss.
Great. Awesome. That is so helpful. Well, thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Hey, Mama. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts? It would bring me so much joy. Simply scroll down to the stars and click Write a Review. Your review will help more women discover our podcast. Let's grow this fit mom movement together. And if you want your friends to come alongside you on this postpartum fitness journey, invite them to our free Facebook group where you can get motivated together. Community is key to success, and that's what I want for you. So join ours by going to the link in the show notes, and before you know it, the baby weight will be falling off as quickly as those stinky diapers. I can't wait to see you on the next episode of the Fit Postpartum Mom Podcast.